Yeah. Go ahead, turn me up.
Yeah. Ay, I ain't gonna play with any nigga in the building talking shit. Bitch, I'm here to start a mosh pit. Fuck with me if you wanna lose that head off your neck. Show me pain, cause I really can't drop shit. Fuck with me, I'm from a bloody nose, you best know how to block. City, I took the pussy when I was about to block. 50 and now I'm burning the burners, I gotta talk. With me, you get fucked. Quickly, I get my taking the picture, I love your aunt, I love your sister. Drink my then link your bitch for motion.
Hey everybody, AJ the One here. How y'all doing? I'm doing fine myself, and I hope you're all doing the same. Today I'm doing part 2 to the deku with Shang. Now, let's get started. Last part when we left off, Izuku was taken in by All For One, and ever since then he was basically quote unquote grown up with Kirigiri and Shigaraki. Izuku, after some time of training with his quirk and learning how to use it better, will end up applying as the UA trader, or end up applying for UA to be their end spy for the League of Villains. For Izuku's entrance exam, Izuku would pass it pretty immediately, pretty basic, but still enough for himself to get into Class 1A. When Izuku would go into Class 1A, he would walk in and then immediately introduce himself to everyone. He would walk in, talk as loud as he could, or loud as he could without it being annoying, and introduce himself. Midoriya. His quirk, demonic soul snatching. His quirk allows him to take souls, use green energy and fire. He would say this to everyone as it would cut off everyone's conversation when Izuku would explain all of this. As Katsuki would look over at Izuku, and Izuku would look over at Katsuki. Izuku would look at Katsuki and have a small smile on his face. But deep down inside, Izuku's rage would be boiling over, or begin to boil over, as every fiber in his being would be telling him to pounce and kill Katsuki, right in front of all of them. But that would be too quick, too easy, and also it would jeopardize their plan. So Izuku would just pretend to smile at Katsuki. Katsuki, who would look confused and not even concerned, but more cocky, as he would stand up and walk over to Izuku. For a villain like you to come here is almost ironic, Katsuki would say. Izuku would look over at Katsuki, would look up at Katsuki, as he would look confused. What do you mean? A kid who killed both of their parents with a malfunction of his quirk. And with a malfunction of his quirk, a villain changes his mind and becomes a hero. Isn't that funny? Everyone in the class would be hearing this would also be confused. As everyone would ask, what is he talking about? Izuku would sort of pause and have the smile leave his face, but not a frown or anger appear on his face, just blank. As Katsuki would turn around to the rest of the classes, he would tell them all that Izuku killed his mother and his father at a very young age. People say it was a quirk malfunction, but I say he did it on purpose. Ever since he was kids, he's been nothing but a villain, a vile person. So if I were you all, I would advise staying away from him. Everyone would listen to Katsuki and wonder if he's actually right, if he's telling the truth. Most people would take Katsuki's word for it, knowing that no normal person would just say something like that. So they thought to just leave Izuku alone. Others were more skeptical. Others truly didn't even care. The people that were more skeptical were at least Momo Yaoyorozu, Shoto Todoroki, and Ida, and also Kirishima. Also only Momo and Shoto really didn't even care only Momo and Shoto were ones that really didn't care. After that, everybody else would just avoid Izuku. Even when Izuku would try to introduce himself, it would only be small talk. They would introduce themselves quickly as They would only introduce themselves quickly, as they would proceed to not ignore Izuku, but try to brush him off as much as possible. Basically making it seem like whatever he had to say didn't truly matter. Or that they didn't even want to hear it. So Izuku realizing this from his classmates as he would have gotten all of their names. Izuku on the outside would be cheery and smiling, partly, but on the inside he would be angry. He would be almost saddened the fact that he won't be getting any friends. Izuku even knows that one day he'll have to attack and possibly kill them all. But even then, he thought that even if he did have to, he still wanted any form of confirmation that he could have friends in this world. But he can't, and that was just proven to him with only a few words from that loudmouth explosion bastard. Izuku's entire social life, or entire school life, has just been crumbled down and has just crumbled away. After some time, Izuku would sit down in his seat behind Katsuki. When their teacher would walk in the room. After this point, the story would basically go the same. Aizawa would tell them that they all had to go outside and take a quick evaluation. Uraraka would ask about orientation, and Aizawa would tell her that he runs the class how he sees fit, so they won't be taking orientation. And he would also advise them to put on their UA sports uniforms to go and to go outside to the training field. Or no, he would demand them to. They will all do so, and while they're in the room changing, or in the boys' changing room, or in the boys' locker room changing, Kirishima will walk over to Izuku and would ask him, did he truly kill his parents on purpose? Izuku would look over at Kirishima with almost a smile, cheery face. With a smile and cheery face, Izuku would tell him, no, he didn't. He didn't mean to kill them. But it still happened, and he does regret it. Kirishima would then slightly almost feel bad for Izuku. Izuku didn't even mean to kill his parents, and yet here he was. Kirishima would then just say, well, we all make mistakes. As Kirishima will point up to the scar over top of his eyebrow, or was it his eye? It was one of those. Will point to a scar, as he would say that he did this to himself with his own quirk. So he slightly only understands where Izuku's coming from. Izuku would be hearing Kirishima as he would think for a second. What is he trying to do? He would think this in his head as he would look over at Kirishima and smile and tell him thank you. Thank you for at least trying to understand. But they will go out for the quick evaluations. Now, for this portion, it would mostly just be the same. For the entirety of the time, it would honestly be nothing but the same normal things that they always did. Izuku would have gotten around 3rd, 5th, or I would say there are 20 of them, so he would have gotten 5th place. He would have thrown his the ball, I would say, around a little bit further than Katsuki. He would use his telekinetic-like abilities with the green orb. He would use his telekinetic-like abilities and wrap his green energy around the orb and then throw it forward. And after that, make 3 flaming skulls and then throw them at the orb, or throw them at the ball to launch it even further. Everyone would be shocked at Izuku, as Izuku would have gotten 5th place, like I've said. But that would also mean that Mineta would be expelled. Or, Mineta would be expelled. But due to the fact of that the Aizawa would see that Mineta has some potential, he would let Mineta stay. Mineta would be glad that he was able to stay. And with Dekaizawa. But anyway, the very next day, it would have been a basic school day, as Izuku would just be hanging out with Kirishima. Or hanging out is a strong word. Izuku would have been minding his own business when Kirishima would have walked over to him and would have asked him a question. How does Izuku's quirk actually work? This would be around lunchtime. Izuku would explain his quirk that he has the ability to take souls from people, and from what he can tell, he cannot give them back. When he takes a soul, that person is dead. He also has the ability to create pieces of a human body through bones. And if he wants to, he can make them flaming, he can make them normal, just really large bones. He can make really large skeleton hands, rib cage, legs, all of the sorts. He also has the ability to also have a small amount of fire manipulation. The best he can do is shoot it out of the ground and maybe light one of his bone figures in flames, but that's about the extent to it. Kirishima would be listening to Izuku and Izuku would also explain his green energy and how he's able to use it for defense, manipulate it to shoot out lasers from it, almost small telekinesis, and even the ability to enhance his body and his defense. Kirishima, listening to all of this, would be shocked on Izuku, or shocked by listening to Izuku. Kirishima would also be a little bit more skeptical of Izuku as well, as Kirishima would have still tried to be friends with Katsuki, and Katsuki would have told some things to Kirishima. Katsuki would have told Kirishima that even as a kid, Deku has always had an aura about him. I thought we could be friends, but when Izuku's quirk was revealed, when Izuku's quirk was revealed, he immediately knew that he was a villain, and that's when, as soon as Izuku got his quirk, that's when he killed his parents. Only a few years later. Kirishima would have also, at this point, would have just asked Izuku what his quirk was, just in case if he ever needed to stop him. And Izuku would have read this about Kirishima. Izuku is far more intelligent than he was in canon, and can also get a far better read on people. Izuku would have realized this and realized that he didn't make a friend. All he did was just make another enemy amongst all the others. But a little bit later that day, they would get hero class as All Might would walk into the door and would announce that they were going to have some battle trials. Izuku's hero suit would be... Whoa. What the fuck? Weirdest shit in the world. Izuku's hero suit would be the one like Shang from Mortal Kombat 11. He would have the exact same outfit, the yellow and black pants, the yellow, black, and gold armor on his body, the split open shirt, and of course even the straps around his arm and the claws on his hands. Izuku's hero outfit would be exactly like it, from head to toe. Also, Izuku's hair would be as you see it here, a light undercut with some bangs. Boom. But anyway, Izuku would simply just listen to everyone talk about their quirks, their hero outfits, but realize that no one would truly address him. No one talked to him. No one said not even a word to him. He would try to walk over to Kirishima and talk to him, but Kirishima would answer. Izuku would walk over to Kirishima, complimenting Kirishima's hero outfit, and Kirishima only lightly doing the same. Kirishima would say like, "Oh yeah, yours too," as he would turn to walk away to go over to Katsuki. Izuku, now feeling even more unwanted, he would just simply stand where he was and realize that he didn't have any friends in this situation, and he should just accept that. He was going to kill them all anyway. After this point, everyone would finally come out with all their hero outfits, and All Might would also explain on what was going on and what the plan was. All Might All Might would it would basically be going the same, as they would have to draw lots. Izuku would know that he couldn't face Katsuki, because if he did, he would overreact and he would possibly end up killing Katsuki, which would blow his cover. Or truly not his cover. It would just make him look more like a villain than anything. So he wanted to fight Katsuki to simply just get revenge now and to get it over with, but he knew that he made a deal with All For One and he can't break that deal. Their deal: if Izuku could somehow weaken All Might, and tell them information to also kill All Might's successor, then Izuku would live a free life with everything that he wanted with it. That's all Izuku wanted, was to live a life with family, friends, and loved ones. The closest ones to that were only Kirigiri and All Might, not and All For One. So Izuku would do anything in his power to get what he truly wanted. So he would walk forward and pray that he did not get Katsuki. And he would look down. He had Team D. It was going to be Izuku and Mina versus Mineta and Momo. Mina would be slightly scared to be on Izuku's team. But Kirishima would simply tell her that if Izuku did try anything, that he would handle him, and she has nothing to worry about. Mina would thank Kirishima as she would walk over to Izuku, who would just be standing in front of the building, staring at the layout. As Mina would be walking over to Izuku, before she could even say a word, Izuku would look over at her quickly, with a very intense face. Mina would get scared and begin to back away slightly, and that's when Izuku would put on a bright smile and close his eyes. If we look at this layout, then we might be able to put our heads together to figure out a way to figure out where they put the bomb. Mina would look slightly confused and say, "Huh?" Izuku would simply just repeat himself. We could put our heads together, look at this layout, and then determine where they might be. Mina would be slightly shocked that Izuku would just simply say that and not, attempt to kill her, like as she thought. So Mina would walk over and would look at the layout of the building. Izuku would tell her that he has a very good estimate on where Yaoyorozu and Mineta are. Yaoyorozu and Mineta, no. Yaoyorozu and Mineta are. He simply tell her that their more likely spot is the top floor. It takes the longest for them to get up to, and also during the time, their quirks. Mineta's and Momo quirks almost work in complete sync. It's literally just traps upon traps upon traps in there, most likely. So their plan is going to be that Mina's going to shoot off her acid to disintegrate all traps, and if Mina doesn't see any traps while they're walking through the building, Izuku will put up a barrier of green energy to protect them. Mina would tell Izuku that's a good plan, but she doesn't know how to shoot off her acid. All she can really do is squirt it out. Pause. Izuku would turn over to her and tell her to cuff her hands in sort of a way to put her hands together. After that, cuff both of her hands and squish them together so it would be one tiny hole that she could shoot all the acid out of. Mina would do this as it would work flawlessly, as she would be able to shoot out her acid. She would basically learn how to do this earlier because of Izuku. But anyway, they would begin. After some time, it would begin. And Mina and Izuku's plan would be going pretty well. And any traps that they would come across that Mina saw, she would shoot down. She would shoot down with her acid, and anything that she didn't see, Izuku would have put up the barrier, or Izuku would have had the barrier up, so they wouldn't get hit. After some time of walking through the building, they would have finally gotten to the top floor. Izuku would have closed his eyes and used his energy to sense out their souls, and realize that they're at the very end of the hall. But realize that this hall has many upon many of corridors, open hallways, and so many other stuff that they could have placed traps down. So Izuku would tell Mina that they're gonna go back and go under them. He's able to tell where they are through their souls and realize that he might be able to that they might be able to get through the floor from below them and try to get the bomb immediately. Mina would realize that this is a good plan, or Mina would agree with Izuku, not really wanting to contest him, still being scared, even though he seems still slightly nice. They would both go under the They would both go back, and after some time, Izuku would guide them to go under both of them, to go under Mineta and Momo. Izuku would look up and realize that they're only around a couple of feet away from them, as they're both as Mineta's chilling behind a pillar, and Momo has a shield and metal rod in front of her. Izuku wouldn't really know where Mineta is, but he would know that Momo and Mineta are pretty close. So he can estimate that the bomb is around 5 feet behind Momo, which isn't that far. And he doesn't want to hit the bomb to get a bad grade. So he would go in front of Momo. Him and Mina would jump up Izuku would grab Mina by her waist, uses green energy and jump up and bust and break through the floor. He would jump up and look in front of and turn behind himself to see Momo in front of the bomb and Mineta behind a pillar over the side. Momo would immediately be shocked as she would get up from her crouch position and rush towards Mina and Izuku. Izuku would push Mina toward Mineta and tell her to handle him as and he'll handle her. Actually, no. Izuku would push Mina towards the bomb as he would tell her to go get the bomb. And then he has Yajirozu. While Mina's running towards the bomb, Mineta behind the pillar would throw three of his balls. While Mina's running, she would step on one of them. She would step on one as she would fall over. And while she was falling over, one of her hands would get stuck, would also land on top of one of the balls, and also her torso would also fall on one as well. So she's basically completely stuck to the ground on one side. Izuku realizing, and while this happened, Mineta would pull out his capture tape and run towards Mina. Izuku would duck under one of Momo's swings with a metal rod as he would launch an energy blast to hit her right in the shield to launch her away. When he would do this, Izuku would launch a green energy ball right towards Mineta, hitting him in the side of his head, knocking him down. People would see this as they would quickly get scared from Mineta and Momo, thinking that Izuku was going to either hurt them really bad or kill them. But during their time, while Izuku and Momo are fighting, Izuku would just be dodging and weaving as he would be landing a couple of strikes on her. She would swing her metal rod. Izuku would dodge and punch her across the face. She would quickly get herself together as Izuku would be rushing forward, throw out a green kick as she would put up her shield to block it, knocking her back some. While Momo swung her metal rod again, Izuku would have put up his hand and put it in a claw-like motion as he would proceed to wrap his hand in green energy as he would basically break her metal rod with his hand. And then after that, he would use his other hand that's free to also do a palm thrust right to her chin. She would be sent up in the air as Izuku would run forward and then throw another green flying kick as it would hit Momo in the back, launching her across the room. Izuku's first thought Izuku would immediately begin to walk over to the bomb until Mina would ask him for some help. Izuku realizing that Mineta is not getting up, Mineta or Momo aren't getting up anytime soon. So he'll walk over to Mina and then summon two flaming hands and put it close to her. Everybody in the room would get scared, and All Might would be confused on why. As I would say, maybe Uraraka would say that Izuku's a killer. Izuku killed his parents a really long time ago, and they're scared if he's probably gonna hurt Mina. All Might not really knowing the situation, so
he just like, okay, young Midoriya, stand down now. Like, what do you mean? I'm trying to get her out. He said he doesn't care. Just hold on for a second. Just go and touch the bone. As Mina would say that she doesn't want to stay stuck on the floor. As All Might would say, don't worry that when young Mineta wakes up, that he'll help her. Izuku, not listening to All Might, would just bring his hands closer and wrap 2 fingers around each of the balls that were stuck on Mina. All Might and everybody else in the room would be scared until they would see that all the balls on Mina would be burnt away or disintegrated. She would stand up and tell Izuku thanks. Thanks. As Izuku would just simply stare at her, no longer with a cheery smile as he realized what was going on. He bet somebody in the room said he was some killer or something, and now that All Might told him to stop from helping Mina. Izuku would have walked over to the ball as soon as Mina was let go, as he would touch it, as All Might would say that the hero team wins. Izuku would have walked over to Momo and picked her up by her arm, and then simply just slung her over his shoulder and began to walk out. Izuku would tell Mina to grab Mineta, as Mina really didn't want to. She would like pick him up by his leg or something, as she would slowly walk out with both of them. After that, some medical people from UA would proceed to put them on stretchers as they would walk away, and the rest of the tests would go the same. But anyway, as most of the tests would have gone the same. Now during the ending of Izuku's day, he would realize that everybody else is gone except for him, and he really doesn't have anyone to talk to. It's gonna take him a while before he needs to get home because Kirigiri is gonna be picking him up, and he needs to do it in secret. And that would take a while. So Izuku would have walked over to Kirishima, who would be with Bakugo. Izuku would try to ask Kirishima would be like walking over to Bakugo. Izuku would have walked up to Kirishima as he would ask Kirishima if he wanted to do something after school. Kirishima would have sort of no Izuku, I'm gonna go with Katsuki. As Kirishima would slowly walk over to Bakugo as the two would have walked off. Izuku would hear Kirishima sound a lot more cheery when he talked to Bakugo, and even called him Baku Bro. As Izuku realized that him and Kirishima have that Katsuki and Kirishima have more camaraderie. That's okay. He'll probably make another friend with Mina, because Izuku is still on that desperation that he'll at least get a singular friend before it kills him. It will be the same thing with Mina. He'll try to talk to Mina. She'll tell him that she's gonna walk on her own. Izuku would ask if she's sure. She would say, yeah, she's sure. As she would quickly run away. Izuku would look around to see if there are any other classmates, but you will realize that they're all gone. None of them are there. It's just him by himself. Izuku would sit there, pause for a few seconds, and realize that even years away from him, Katsuki still managed to ruin his life. Katsuki still managed to somehow find a way to do it all over again. And he bets, even if he didn't, and he bets, even if Katsuki wasn't there, they will all still act the same. They will all still treat him no differently than anybody else. They hear his quirk and fear him and don't even want to talk to him. As Izuku would have sort of frowned, as he should have said that this was expected. He would pull out his phone and text, and he would have a contact on his phone, Big Bro Kirigiri. Izuku would text Kirigiri telling him that he's ready and he's out front of UA, as a black portal would have appeared under Izuku as Izuku would have fell through. And that's this part, and that's where I'm gonna leave this part off. And it's sort of a decent sized part, and that's really all I wanted to say for today. I hope you all have a nice day. Please like, subscribe, and see ya.